Greetings, fellow armchair Imagineers. Tiki here.
And Jacob Wile.
And welcome to another weird and wild edition of Tiki's Universe, the show where we react and respond to various cartoons. Yes, I don't know. It was once reserved
from this dimension.
Yes, it was once reserved for Steven Universe, and now we're kind of spreading out Steven Universe and Star vs. the Forces of Evil because multi-dimensional and shit. Yeah! All right. So, Jacob, I actually do think Tiki's Universe is the perfect place to talk about Star vs. the Forces of Evil because, of course, we've got the multiverse thing going on with this show. But you know what else is going to always get a little weird and a little wild whenever you turn in, Jacob?
What is it?
It's the Movie Machine Podcast. It's the wild and weird podcast established by Jacob Gulliver and Company. It's what happens when you take four funny people and improv a movie based on a random story generator really fast. Get it at hotchocolatemedia.net. Movie Machine Podcast. Oh, yeah. Kyle Decker, Ben Lifson, Jacob Gulliver, and Company. All right, Jacob. You are not Jacob Gulliver, but you are the fan.
At least not the last time I checked.
Well, Jacob Gulliver is the superhero guy. You're our cartoon guy. I think that's kind of like, I think that's where you found our niche on the channel, where we're going over Wander Over Yonder together. I think that's been a really fun trip so far. And now we're about to get into Star vs. the Forces of Evil Season 2. You and I both kind of fell in love with Star vs. the Forces of Evil over the course of Season 1. And now it's coming back in a big bad way. I'm really excited about it. I feel like there's a lot of traction for the show. I feel like a lot of fans, especially a lot of Gravity Falls fans, have kind of found this show in the absence of Gravity Falls, and it's picked up a lot of fans since it aired initially. And I really see a lot of potential for the show moving forward and just for it to be one of the biggest hits on Disney. So, Jacob, I want to start with my story about how I found the show, and then we'll get into your story. So, I actually found this show through the YouTube channel Rebel Taxi, where Pan Pizza was doing he does this about like maybe 3 times a year, where he'll do like the top 5 current animated shows. And what he'll do is he'll just kind of go through and pick out, like shows that are in their first season and stuff. And it's how I discovered stuff like Harvey Beaks, which is one of the very, very, very few things I appreciate on Nickelodeon these days. And it's also how I discovered this. And Rebel Taxi's pitch for Star vs. the Forces of Evil was basically like a drug dealer. He was basically like, hey, kids, you like Mabel? Star vs. the Forces of Evil is basically a whole show of Mabel. And that was basically like the selling point for me. It was, I think it was a little over halfway. I think when I jumped onto the show, the Diaz Family Vacation had just aired, so it was maybe a little past the halfway point in the season. But obviously, I just kind of like caught up with all the episodes really fast, like marathon them all in just the course of a day. And now here I am, like we've come and gone through the first season. The first season showed a lot of promise, and I think we're going to get a lot more promising in the future. So, Jacob, how did you come upon Star vs. the Forces of Evil?
Well, I actually first came across it I heard of it when it was first announced. It gained a lot of attention because it was their first cartoon in years created by a female creator. Mm-hmm. By the name of Darren Nefsey, who had previously also worked on Wander Over Yonder, believe it or not.
Well, I mean, this is kind of around the same time as Rebecca Sugar's dominating with Steven Universe as well, so keep that in mind.
Well, yeah, that was Cartoon Network, though.
Okay, right. So you're saying from the Disney Channel. I'm sorry.
Yes.
Okay, my bad.
I said Disney's first cartoon in years. Maybe I didn't specify Disney, but...
No, I'm sorry. That's my mistake. Go ahead.
Maybe I didn't specify Disney, so... It was Disney's first cartoon in ages that was created by Disney by a female creator by the name of Darren Nefsey. And back then, when it was first announced, it was announced as Star and the Forces of Evil. Eventually, they changed the title, which frankly makes more sense.
Yeah, we were kind of talking about this off air. Like, Star and the Forces of Evil, it's not a bad title, but I think it kind of implies that Star is on the Forces of Evil side. Like, Star is kind of commanding the Forces of Evil, where obviously that's not the case.
Frankly, that would be interesting, but
It would be, especially like look at the wallpaper we've got for this conversation, Jacob. This is like this very image of Star, like doing the wand and like the fire and the animals kind of scurrying away. That really was like a big selling point for me with this show. Just that one image, just that one kind of like scene of Star with the rainbow and the fire. I'm like, oh, okay, I get what they're doing here. They're doing like the Disney princess thing, but I hate to say they're doing it like the Disney princess thing, but with kind of like a Mabel Pines, kind of like a kick-ass Mabel Pines type character. And I love it. I love it.
well, I initially heard about that and the whole news reveal and all that, and then it seemed like it had an interesting premise, even though nobody had official source on what the exact premise was because it kept changing over and over. Like at one time, it was reported that this show took place in Texas.
Oh God, that would have been weird.
Yeah, and wild.
Yeah.
But I kept in tune with it because, Disney cartoons and all that. I'm a big fan of Disney's recent animation slate, except fish hooks. But
we don't talk about fish hooks.
Yeah.
We don't. That's a reject from Nickelodeon that we just got on the side for tax purposes.
For some reason, it's strange that Alex Hirsch came from that show too.
Right. Yeah. That's the odd thing, right?
Yeah. So, but as I said, except for fish hooks, I've been really impressed with their recent slate lately, and this is actually a show that showed promise. But I really got hooked onto it when a video from Comic-Con was recorded on their phone with a somewhat poor quality of the video and filmed from very far away of the theme song.
Mm-hmm.
And it was the catchiest theme song I've heard in ages.
Yeah, the theme song is pretty amazing. When I first heard it, especially like I feel like the show has a lot of like 80s Nintendo sensibilities to it, and so like with the wand right at the beginning, the do 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 do. I'm like, oh my god, here we go.
Another work from Brad Breek.
Right.
It was actually chosen blindly, by the way.
Okay.
I mean, they listened to his work blindly and chose that coincidentally happened to be Brad Breek.
Nice.
But so I heard the theme song and I saw the initial style of the show, and I thought, okay, I like the looks of this. The animation is fluid, it looks great, and the song is catchy, so why not? I didn't even know about the characters yet, or any of the voices or what they sounded like, but people are already in love with these characters.
Mm-hmm.
And I decided to check it out when the first initial preview came. And I liked it. I instantly fell in love with these characters. And I was surprised how initially started out as a wacky, goofy cartoon, but actually became to get deeper and more characters developed throughout the season. I was really surprised how now they can take this initial concept and, even though it started out like crazy, strange, and wacky, and actually had some depth to it in the later episodes.
Yeah, there's definitely directions they can go with it.
I'm really surprised it shows they can be both funny and serious at the same at different variables at the same time. And I'm really quite impressed with how the show has turned out so far.
Yeah, let's see. Do I have an echo on my end? I don't think so. Oh yeah, I do.
You did for a little bit, but I think it's gone.
I think it's it's still there.
Well, I don't hear anything.
Well, it's hello from the fifth dimension. Dimension. You don't hear it at all?
No, okay. I don't hear an echo.
Okay, I think it's gone. I'm sorry, folks. Okay, so it's definitely like I don't feel like it's on the same level of like serialized storytelling that Steven Universe or Gravity Falls was, but that's not necessarily a bad thing. I think what Star versus the Forces of Evil really excels at is the character development and the dynamics between the characters. Wouldn't you agree?
Yep, definitely.
So let's talk about just kind of some of the big strengths of season one, like some of the big things that we really liked about season one, some of our favorite episodes, some of our favorite characters, some of just our favorite, just in general, some of the stuff that this show does really well. So I'm just going to start off. I'm just going to throw the big obvious thing out there. the dynamic between Marco and Star is just absolutely delightful and one of the best cartoon pairings I've seen in a long time. And they honestly feel like they're kind of plucked out of a 90s cartoon, but they still have the depth and they have the well-written, kind of like well-rounded quality that you'd see in an Adventure Time or in a Rebecca Sugar product or something like that.
I can see that, I guess.
So I think that Star and Marco, I mean, I don't necessarily think that any of the other characters really rise to be as prominent as Star and Marco are. They're definitely at the centerpiece of the show. But I think it does a good job just kind of like, you know, it's their show and I don't know. I'm not explaining myself well. I'm sorry. All I'm saying is that I think Star and Marco, just kind of their dynamic, kind of like you know, like Star is just a really fun subversion of the Disney princess stereotype that we've all come to know and expect. I think she's a lot more fun than someone like Elsa, quite frankly.
Yeah, she needs to be an official Disney princess.
Seriously, she does.
I mean, the way I see it, the way I consider her already one. Like, she's Disney, she's a princess.
I'm pretty sure that frickin' Sophia the First is an official Disney princess, if I'm remembering right.
Make Star one.
No, Star is definitely kind of like she's not even the strong independent woman stereotype. She's more just kind of like wacky and goofy, but also just very, very, very self-motivated. And I don't know, like she's a role model, but not in the traditional sense. You know what I mean, Jacob? It's like, I think she's a role model in terms of she's really always messing up. Like in a lot of the episodes, she's the one that's kind of the catalyst for things going wrong. But it's a learning experience through her, and in the learning experience, as we kind of get her integrated more and more and more into Earth society, it does kind of grow into a really complex character where, you know, her mistakes and her failures really do kind of shape her as a character. And really, you know, what's admirable about Star is how she always learns from those mistakes, how she always moves on from those mistakes, and how she always takes them to heart. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
Okay. And then what about Marco? Let's talk about Marco. I think Marco, like I said, he's delightful.
I love the dynamic between them.
Mm-hmm. Marco is just like he's just kind of he's just a ball of energy. That's kind of like he's a ball of energy, and not in the same way that Star is. Like Star is a ball of energy just in terms of like, oh, like crazy supernatural stuff's gonna happen. But Star also kind of has her moments of contemplative quietness. With Marco, I think Marco is definitely a character that has something to prove, and he can't quite prove it yet. Like he's definitely a character like in a young age that has an ego that isn't really warranted, and he doesn't really have enough experience to really be touting what he's you know, what he's building himself up as. He's building himself up as this like awesome karate master. Whereas I feel like Star kind of browns him back down to earth, because Star's like, no, Marco, look, you're great. You're awesome. I love you, Marco, but you're not a master just yet. But stick with me. Stick with me. So I don't know. Let's talk about Ludo, who is like freaking Alan Tudyk, man.
He's doing quite a bit for them nowadays.
I know. Notice a trend here. Alan freaking Tudyk again playing the main villain of a Disney product.
Well, he's only really played the true villain once.
Yeah, very true. Very true.
I mean, the Duke of Wellington was just more of like a nuisance more than an actual villain.
And also Duke Weaselton. But still, I'm just saying Alan Tudyk still just always keeps showing up with Disney as the bad guy.
Well, I wouldn't even say Duke Weaselton is a bad guy.
Well, he's a thief.
Not the main villain, though.
Yeah, no, you're right.
He's only played the true villain once, and heck, once Toffee was introduced here, he wasn't even the true villain anymore.
Well, we'll get into Toffee, but I don't know. To tell you the truth, I've always kind of considered, like, I'm really excited about where they're going to go with Toffee in season 2, because Ludo, he's a fun character, definitely not meant to be an intimidating villain, and that's definitely not even how he was written, so I can't really complain about that too much. But you know what?
like I said, that's what surprised me about Toffee.
Mm-hmm. So let's just get into Toffee. Like, I think Toffee is kind of like he's kind of the big center point of the season 2 speculation right now. I feel like Toffee is going to play like a big major role in season 2.
That's what made a lot of people surprised after seeing how kind of incompetent Ludo was, how they suddenly introduced this intelligent and conniving villain almost out of nowhere.
Yeah, and it kind of basically turned the tides on what was starting to become a formulaic show of like, Ludo is trying to steal the wand in a comedic direction and Star foils Ludo, and for just a period of like maybe like 4 or 5 episodes, I kind of started to get a little bit fatigued with that premise. But then the introduction of Toffee, I think the introduction of Toffee was the breath of fresh air that the show needed. Of course, voiced by the goddamn best voice actor in a host of great voice actors on the show, Michael C. Hall just gives the whole character just this intimidating menace behind him that's just totally out of sync with everything else on the show, but it just works. You know what I mean? It's like, okay, like, like we might be playing around with like wands that shoot like dog creatures and smiley faces and everything like that, and ponies.
He's the rare intelligent cartoon villain.
Right. But then at the center of it, we have Toffee, who, Toffee is just kind of like this master manipulator type, and I'm really excited, like, especially if we get several seasons, like especially as Star lasts like maybe like 3, 4, 5 seasons, like Toffee could really develop some fascinating storylines.
Well, I mean, who knows? Who knows? We still have other villains to focus on too, like Miss Heinous, for example.
Heinous is a good one, and I think that's a good transition. Can we transition to some of the best episodes? Because I think one of the big highlight episodes of season 1 is definitely St. Olga's Reformed School for Wayward Princesses.
Oh yeah, that was a good one.
I mean, it was great. It was. I loved how it was built up. It was built up like, we kept seeing that clip of the princess being dragged in there by the guards every time. It up.
It's kind of funny how like they almost made it out to be a joke at first.
Exactly.
Like they're like, oh, that place can't be that bad, and then we were like, oh boy, this place is actually bad.
And the brilliant thing about it is, once again, it's just a great subversion of some of the Disney stereotypes. It's like we literally have like these poor princesses kind of just losing their individuality. And the horrific thing about this is that we've seen through 9 episodes now. This is the 10th episode. Through 9 episodes, we've seen Star being the goddamn most individualistic Disney princess, like the most just like, I am just going to be my weird self and I don't give a crap what you think. And then we see the St. Olga side of things, and it's like, okay, shit's going down.
And she vowed to return.
Oh yeah.
Should we talk about her cheeks?
Go ahead.
How Miss Heinous actually had spades on her cheeks.
Oh god.
Similar to how, or clubs. I think they were clubs. There were clubs on her cheeks.
Okay, and then we also had in that episode Jodie Benson is the singing teacher, which was that's great. That's great. Just Jodie Benson returning in kind of like a dark, twisted kind of way to the Disney universe.
I guess.
Okay. Let's see. Jacob, you have any favorite episodes you'd want to point out? Let's just kind of like go back and forth with some favorite episodes.
Well, like I said, St. Olga, I think, is like almost a favorite for everyone who's a fan of the show. If not for seeing like Marco in a dress.
I think St. Olga is definitely kind of like one of the climactic episodes of season 1.
Yeah, and definitely I'd caught that and like hinted at her return.
Mm-hmm.
Miss Heinous' return and swearing vengeance on them for destroying what their way of corrupting the princesses.
Oh yeah. All right. I don't know. Like, there's definitely there's a lot of just really fun kind of standalone episodes here. Like, I remember Diaz Family Vacation was really fun because I really do like Marco's parents. They're just a really fun dynamic.
Yeah, they're not really exactly stupid parents either.
No, they're not stupid. They're more just kind of like oblivious and overexcitable, which makes them like a lot more lovable than someone like the Turners, who the Turners are just, complete sociopathic monsters. We've already been over this.
Alrighty.
Okay. I don't know. Do you have any other episodes besides St. Olga's that you kind of are particularly fond of?
The Blood Moon Ball I really liked.
Yeah, that one, that had some good atmosphere in it.
Particularly the ending.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Where they're on the balcony.
Yeah, definitely an episode that kind of developed Star and Marco's chemistry a little more. And one of the things with Blood Moon Ball is we saw the Tom character in the intro, and for a long time we we're like, okay, like, who's that guy going to be? Like, it seems like he's one of Star's boyfriends or something, and it's like, oh boy, here we go.
Demon ex-boyfriend.
Yep. So, I don't know. Some of the ones that I really like are the ones that just get really out there. Marco grows a beard, for example. I mean, it's a simple premise. It's like Marco just wants to grow a beard. Simple premise.
And of course, Star helps him.
Oh dear. Oh, and then it's just like the whole like how like I know the beard takes over the whole house, but does it eventually start to like take over the whole city?
No. Just confined to the house.
Okay, but still, it's just like this giant, like hulking mass of like of facial hair, and then Marco's like trapped in the center of it.
And the whole thing was built around her like learning how to use not rely on her wand too much.
And
then at the end, like she's just like, "No, I will cut this beard without using my wand." And he's like, yeah. Like. The one time he wants her to use her wand to get out of a mess, she doesn't.
Right.
And that also has like the big twist at the end, where Toffee takes over Ludo's minions.
Sure. Okay.
And which then leads into Storm the Castle.
Oh yeah. Storm the Castle was a really good kind of climactic episode. Really good kind of cliffhangers in there. Honestly, if I had to pick a favorite of season 1, I probably would have to say that Muberty would probably be like, there is so much going on in that episode. You've got Jared Hess is this like dopey guy that Star has a crush on. Napoleon.
Bill Hader? Not Bill Hader, but like Jared. Like I don't know, it's not Bill Hess. It's someone else.
Oh God, let me see. I'm
it's
sorry.
The guy who played Napoleon Dynamite.
Yeah, I know. I'm getting the name. John Heater.
Yeah, John Heater. That's it.
I think Jared Hess was the director of Napoleon Dynamite. Thank you. Yeah, John Heater is just this like dopey like metal guy that Star has a crush on, and then Star's kind of like just butterfly. I just
really don't like Oscar.
You don't like Oscar? I think Oscar's endearing. He's not necessarily endearing. He's just kind of like, I really like the comedy of what they're making fun of with him.
Yeah, I mean, I like that aspect of him. I mean, like, I like him as a concept and he's just like, just there.
Yeah,
Like there's barely any reason for her to like him at all.
Well, I think that's kind of the point, though. It's just, especially with the rest of the episode with Star, she's going crazy with the, with the butterfly transformations and everything like that. And then, of course, we get one of the best guest stars on this show besides Toffee. We have Jeffrey Tambor as Glossaric.
Pudding. I want pudding.
Yes. The pudding thing alone puts Muberty in like my top 3 episodes of the season, honestly. Like that had me rolling.
Like life is like a hot garbage truck.
It's so random. It's so random.
Like life is like a flaming garbage, like hot, fast, and full of garbage.
Oh god.
True words though.
Yeah, that's I mean, there's definitely like I do like all the episodes. I'm just those were kind of like my
Jana on that episode though.
What?
Jana, the girl who has Marco's keys.
Janet's an interesting character.
It's Jana, not Janet.
Oh, I'm sorry. She's kind of the character that I'm most hesitant about going forward.
I'm more hesitant about Oscar, frankly, but
You're more hesitant about Oscar. All right. But
I'm worried that they'll show too much of him.
I don't. That's the thing. I think they're going to keep Oscar as like a joke. And I don't know. I think the other girl is kind of going to be like, I don't know. I don't want her to wind up being, I don't want it to be kind of like a love triangle thing with Star and.
I don't think that's what they're going for.
Uh-huh.
I mean, it's just like she just like makes messing with him or something.
Yeah, it's an odd character. It's an odd guy. I feel like that character is like they had ideas for that character that they didn't really get to fully flesh out in season 1. I don't know. But do we have
the main question was how'd she get his keys?
Right.
That's the main thing I was bringing it up for. How did she get his keys?
Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm just kind of like trying to jump around from thing to thing in this season 1 thing because.
All right, so who's next?
Honestly, I think we've pretty much covered a good deal of. There's like the friends. There's like Ferguson.
Other than the girl who Marco likes.
Right. Oh, Jackie Lynn Thomas, also someone who I'm not a big fan of, just because it's a very stereotypical like, oh, look at the hipster pixie. I don't know.
I guess.
I'm not very fond of her just because I don't think she's characterized all that well. It's like we don't really have a reason for Marco to, to be infatuated with her. He just kind of is.
Well, kind of like Oscar.
I guess so. You have a good point there. They
both like people that they have no reason to like, except, yeah. So
again, kind of like with Jackie Lynn, she's more of a character than Oscar is, and Oscar is just kind of more of a joke.
Yeah,
right.
What about Brittany?
Who's Brittany again? Remind me.
Brittany Wong, the cheerleader.
I don't really have a strong opinion. Honestly, I'm sorry. I should have rewatched some of these episodes before because it's been a good couple months since I've rewatched them.
Nobody really is too fond of her.
Yeah, she's kind of like
but that's the way she's supposed to be, though.
I
mean, you're not supposed to have a high opinion of her.
Yeah, I don't know. I think we've covered all the major characters at least. There's definitely like background bit players and other people in the high school that we could get into.
Like Buff Frog?
Yeah, right. But let's just kind of speculate about season 2 for just a little bit. What do you think? So we have My New Wand and we have Ludo in the Wild. What do you think is going to come of those 2 episodes when we get them on Monday?
Well, I've read the basic synopses of them, and I think My New Wand will delve into what actually happened with her wand at the end of season 1. It's being split in 2, and how it will affect her and the wand. People are it's theorized that people will go nuts. She'll go nuts. That you go even crazy. Somehow get remember how Lobster Claus was kind of possessed by the wand because it was he was aligned with evil, and then
yeah.
Here's my theory, kind of how he was aligned with evil, or good, so it was corrupting him and making him turn evil because he wasn't, because it was the opposite.
Oh, that's interesting.
So because you remember that, right? Because it's every time he switched.
No, but I'm kind of connecting to the dots to what you're saying with Star, though.
Yeah, what I'm saying is it might start corrupting her, split her personality or something, split her down the middle.
What do you think of I'm going to make a comparison though. What do you think? Do you think it's going to be kind of like a Spider-Man black symbiote type deal?
Well, there's an image of her. Yeah, there's a video or a sequence of her eyes, her pupils completely covering her eyes. So who knows?
Interesting.
Her pupils completely fill her eyes. So they don't know if that's in the first episode or down the line. But people realize that's because of her wand going nuts.
I
think that might lead to the. I like to see something like a Dark Star or something.
Yeah, I'd like to see that too. That'd be a really interesting direction to go in.
It might be a bit cliche, but maybe.
No, I don't think it's necessarily cliche. Like I said, I did kind of point out the Spider-Man symbiote route, but I think those kind of storylines are compelling.
Or at least maybe something that brings out the darker side of her personality.
Sure. Because the thing about Star is that she's always kind of been the happy-go-lucky, over-the-top Disney princess on the outside. but there's like this kind of boiling over kind of sense of craziness and almost a little bit of malice behind her, like just kind of boiling over and ready to explode at any minute with some of the things she does.
And it has been shown that she has a bit of a crazy dark history.
Yeah, absolutely. Which was like a big part of the show's humor in the first few episodes.
Yeah, so that's, I mean, maybe not like create a separate being of Dark Star, but like maybe at least bring out the darker sides of her personality a bit. I mean, I'd like to see like a separate, maybe it'd be cool to see a separate entity inspired by, like, concede from Star, but like, like concede from the dark side of her personality. Maybe that would become a separate.
With the Muberty and or not with with the Muni society and how that operates and everything like that. It's like we have no idea like what's going to happen with Star. It's like we don't know. Like one of the things I'm curious about is if her wings are going to start developing at all.
Yeah, who knows? I mean, like we don't see anybody else with wings around there.
Right.
Or maybe I don't know if her mom has wings at all. I don't think she does.
Like the wings, I'm kind of thinking is going to be like an ongoing like.
I mean,
they're going to get slightly bigger every season.
I mean, they were brought up in that episode, never mentioned again.
Yeah, that's true.
So
I don't know.
Maybe...
I'm just kind of still in Gravity Falls mode where I'm like overanalyzing everything.
Well, I mean, they kind of started doing that with like dropping a bunch of hints, like especially with Toffee missing his finger, saying like
exactly, yeah.
You're not the only victim of their magic. Like they specifically showed shots where they showed that Toffee's finger was missing. Like they showed that deliberately. But
yeah, that was a really good payoff, right?
Like they never knew why his finger is gone. People think he could regenerate from his missing finger or something.
Mm-hmm.
Who knows? Or he could be gone completely for all we know.
Okay, we have Ludo and the Wild. I think it's going to be kind of just Ludo. Like, Ludo's gone now, right? He's basically been kicked out of his own regime, correct?
Yeah, basically, it's like his kingdom has been, his castle's been destroyed, his monsters have abandoned him, and Star basically, Star was listening to him complain about all that, then she just like tore open a portal and threw him in there.
So maybe like, Ludo and the Wild is going to be kind of a more sympathetic side of Ludo.
It's like, well, the synopsis is basically like stuck in the wild, he has to survive.
Oh God! So I could see them making some the Revenant jokes.
Who knows? Well, the Revenant. Well, I don't think that. I mean, that just showed that this has been in production long before the Revenant came out. So.
Yeah, that's true. Anyways.
Yeah, so not. But it's not even known if Star will make an appearance in the episode or not.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if we saw episodes that kind of focused on some of the side characters just to flesh them out a little bit more.
I wouldn't be surprised, even though we kind of like Wander Over Yonder second season kind of did that with Haters and Peeper. Mm-hmm. Hater and Peepers.
Right. That's what I've been hearing, yeah.
Where they don't even feature Wander or Sylvia at all. So I'm just thinking maybe they'll start doing the same thing for this show, even though Wander Over Yonder is more suited for that kind of thing, though. Yeah. Wander Over Yonder is more suited for the whole focusing on Hater and Peepers. This show is like you have to have Star in an episode or something.
Yeah, but I could see them I could see especially episodes devoted to if you're showing Ludo and then you're also showing Toffee on the sidelines, kind of building up his regime, then I could see those particular episodes working on their own because they're the episodes that would be like driving the overall, the overall main kind of narrative of what we're focusing on.
Maybe, but that's the big question. Will they do that?
I know, you're right. That is the question. Because overall, I don't necessarily think that season 1 was really that serialized. I think the main thing that they serialized was everything that they did with Toffee and how they built him up. And also the St. Olga stuff, of course. But they mostly, like you said, St. Olga was just kind of like they played it as a joke until it got very, very real. So there was definitely like hints and pieces of what was going to develop in the later half of season 1. But I have a feeling that with season 2, we're going to get kind of like a more of an overall arc with Toffee as the center of it. I think maybe St. Olga will be kind of like, we'll have another like we're going to have maybe a big kind of return to St. Olga's episode, but I don't necessarily think St. Olga is going to be the primary villain of season 2. I definitely think
Well, her name is
Toffee
Miss
gonna be
Haynes.
the-
St. Olga's the name of the school. Miss Haynes is the name of the headmistress.
well, you know what I mean. I'm sorry. But
I know.
Oh, no. But any other speculation on your part, Jacob?
Well, I don't know. Might be a new overarching villain. Might learn more about the history of their family. Like, it was, I mean, like, they didn't really explain what Toffee meant by "you're not the only one who has been harmed by their magic." Like, they didn't really give. And Muni Pendants Day kind of like gave him like not everything is the way it seems in Muni. Like, history wasn't really exactly.
So
as
maybe
Star
we'll
was
see kind of like some dark shades of Star's ancestry.
Well, yeah, like that's kind of even hinted at by Toffee himself. Like,
Gotcha.
He didn't necessarily say by the king and queens, but by the butterflies' magic.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Just kind of like not necessarily by the king and queen, but like by by their ancestors.
Yeah, I mean, I'd like to see more like wonder like her ancestry. Like, does her whole family and like a line of people who like to hunt monsters like she does, like she and her father do. And is that what actually caused the whole rift between the monsters and the Munis, the humans before?
We haven't really talked about them yet, but I really like the dynamic between the king and queen as well. The king especially is a really fun guy.
Also Alan Tudyk.
Right. So what I like about the king is that he's very prim and proper just because that's his lifestyle that he's married into or born into or whatever. But on the surface, like bubbling deep beneath his core is the same kind of personality that Star has, you know what I mean? Where all he wants to do is like go hunt monsters and stuff. And I think that makes for a very fun character, just kind of like the the contrasting sides of his personality.
Yeah, it's where she got her monster hunting from. Definitely.
Yeah. Okay, I don't know. I can't really think of anything else to speculate unless you have any final.
I'm trying to think of other things that we could bring up for this show. I mean, like potential. I mean, they could talk about some of the other episodes. Like, what other episodes are notable this season?
Well, I don't. The thing is, I kind of need to be out the door in about 10 minutes or so. So, I feel like we talked over a lot of the really good ones. You mentioned View Dependence Day. That was a good one as well. Like you said, that kind of that was kind of the episode that started to shed some light into the dark past of Star's lineage. So that was interesting. Kind of like you say, like some of the episodes that are on the back half of the season really did start to develop this overall story, especially once Toffee gets introduced. So,
and let's just say he was kind of like expecting the wand to do what it did, like kind of like blow up everything. Like he totally knew that was going to happen. If you see a smile at the end, like he knew that thing was going to blow up everything. But the thing is, did he survive?
Dun dun dun.
People are really hoping so.
If they kill him off, I'm going to be pissed, Jacob. I will. I'm sorry.
I don't think they build him up like the way they did.
I know, right? Just to be like, oh, sorry, he's dead now.
And I don't think they put so much emphasis on his finger without really, doing anything about it. So I think they will bring him back, maybe not immediately, but somewhere down the line.
I hear you. Maybe he'll be more kind of like a Bill Cipher type, where he's not in every episode, but he's definitely kind of like this looming presence over the whole narrative.
I still think Bill Cipher is kind of thrown in out of nowhere, out of inside the cartoon itself, not necessarily in the augmented, not in the virtual reality kind of thing, but like in the show itself, he was just kind of thrown in.
Yeah. But you know what I mean, though, like where Bill is.
That's one downside of that. I mean, I do understand what you mean, though. I mean, that's one downside it'll give Gravity Falls. Like, if you didn't follow the alternate reality, he just basically introduced out of nowhere and just suddenly made villain.
Right. But by alternate reality, are you talking about like the codes and stuff?
Yeah, like the codes on like the alternate media, like the games and all that. If you didn't follow that, he was just like basically introduced out of nowhere.
Well, that's the fun thing about Gravity Falls, though, is that it always did reward those.
I know, like I said, not
treasure
that it takes away from the show or anything.
Sure.
That's just one thing I have to say about
Sure.
that. But maybe
But
who knows, Toffee will probably be like a recurring villain or something. Like maybe they won't bring him back immediately, or maybe they will.
I mean,
Who
Michael
knows?
C. Hall, I imagine, does probably command a pretty big paycheck to do a voice role because he is kind of a big actor. So I don't know.
Well, yeah, who knows? I mean, he's done interviews for the channel about his role, so he seems like happy to do it.
That's cool. That's cool.
I mean, he revealed that he actually did reveal in an interview with Disney XD that they did have his family does have history with the butterflies.
Okay.
He does
Okay.
so he actually seems willing to do this role, and he seems to have happy about doing it. So who knows?
Yeah, I'm excited. I especially think, like I said, it just kind of like a last point I want to make about this. What do you think of my whole comparison? Where I think now that Gravity Falls is done and over with, like if you haven't jumped on this show already as a Gravity Falls fan, please do so, because I really do think this is kind of the successor to Gravity Falls in a lot of ways. It's not quite as steeped in the overall mythology as Gravity Falls is, but I do think that most of the characters, if not all the characters, are as lovable, as well written. And the show's just kind of got this energy to it, this spark to it that really just throws you into the universe, throws you into the characters, and you really fall in love with it very quickly. So, all right, any last words on it, Jacob?
I'm very looking forward to season 2. I mean, it looks to be a lot more insane, wild, weird, wild, weirder and wild than the first season turned out to be.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so we will see you guys on Monday, where we will be doing we'll be talking about the first 2 episodes that came out from season 2, which would be, like we were talking about, the Star's New Wand, My New Wand, and then Ludo and the Wild. That's coming out on Monday, and then from there we'll just kind of see how the rest of the season goes. All right, Jacob, thank you for joining me. Thank y'all for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
You're welcome. You're welcome. And we will be back. We'll try and crack out some Wander Over Yonder vlogs as well. It's a very busy time for us with, we've got Christmas in July. Steven Universe is coming back with literally a new episode every weeknight for 6 weeks. It's going to be crazy, but I'm down with it, man. I'm down with it. We're having a lot of fun with these cartoons, with these discussions, with these vlogs and reaction videos. I think it's a pretty good direction that the channel's headed in. So, Jacob,
what if we could do the first season of Star? Too bad we didn't do that first.
Well, we might go back and do that in the off season, or in I'm sure there's going to be plenty of frustrating hiatus that we're going to have to fill time with. So don't you worry, sir. Don't you worry.
I know that might be a good way for you to get reintroduced or something.
For sure. All right, folks. So in the meantime, I don't know. Jacob, do you have a memorable line from the show that you can quote?
Yeah. Stay weird and stay wild.
Yeah, another dimension.